Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudirayet
Tato Jayam Udirayet
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Ruttama Sloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki
Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki
Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 Chapter 16 Verse 20 Pade Nyunam Sochochasi Maikapadham
Pade Nyunam Sochasi Maika Padam
Atmanam Va Vrishalair Bhokshamanam
Atmanam va Vrishalair Bhokshamanam
Aho Suradhin Hritayajna Bhagan
Aho Suradin Hritya Yagna Bhagan
Prathautasvin Magavati Avarshati
Praja Utasvin Mahavati Avarshati.
Synonyms and translation purport by Divine Grace Avai Charna Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Padai by 3 legs.
Padai by 3 legs.
Nyunam diminished.
Nyunam diminished.
Sochasi if you are lamenting for that.
Sochasi if you are lamenting for that. If you are lamenting for that.
Ma, my.
My.
Ekapadham, only 1 leg.
Ekapadam, only one leg.
Atmanam, own body.
Atmanam, only own body.
Va, or. Vrishalaihi, by the unlawful meat eaters.
Vrishalai, by the unlawful meat eaters.
Bokshamanam, to be exploited.
Bokshamanam, to be exploited.
Aho, in sacrifice.
Aho, in sacrifice.
Sura Adin, the authorized demigods.
Sura Adin, the authorized demigods.
Krita Yajna, devoid of sacrificial.
Krita Yajna, devoid of sacrificial.
Bhaghan, share.
Bhaghan, share.
Praja, the living beings.
Praja, the living beings.
Utha, increasing. Svit, weather. Magavati, in famine and scarcity.
Magavati, in famine and scarcity.
Avarshati, because of rainlessness.
Avarshati, because of rainlessness.
Translation, please repeat after me. I have lost my 3 legs and am now standing on one only.
I have lost my 3 legs and am now standing on only one.
Are you lamenting for my state of existence?
Are you lamenting for my state of existence?
Or are you in great anxiety because henceforward the unlawful meat eaters will exploit you?
Or are you in great anxiety because henceforward the unlawful meat eaters will exploit you?
Or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings?
Or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings?
Because no sacrifices are being performed at present?
Because no sacrifices are being performed at present.
Or are you grieving for living beings?
Or are you grieving for living beings?
Because of their sufferings due to famine and drought.
Because of their sufferings due to famine and drought.
Purport.
Okay, continue. Purport. With the progress of the age of Kali, 4 things particularly, namely the duration of life, mercy, the power of recollection, and moral or religious principles will gradually diminish. Since dharma or the principles of religion would be lost in the proportion of 3 out of 4, the symbolic bull was standing on one leg only. When three-fourths of the population of the whole world become irreligious, the situation is converted into hell for the animals. In the age of Kali, godless civilizations will create so many so-called religious societies in which the personality of Godhead will be directly or indirectly defied. And thus, faithless societies of men will make the world uninhabitable for the saner section of people. There are gradations of human beings in terms of proportionate faith in the supreme personality of Godhead. The first class faithful men are the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas, then the Kshatriyas, then the Vaishyas, then the Shudras, then the Melechas, the Yavanas, and at last the Chandalas. The degradation of the human instinct begins from the Melechas, and the Chandala state of life is the last word in human degradation. All the all the above terms mentioned in the Vedic literatures are never meant for any particular community or birth. They are different qualifications of human beings in general. There is no question of birthright or community. One can acquire the respective qualifications by one's own efforts, and thus the son of a Vaishnava can become a Malecha, or the son of a Chandala can become more than a Brahmana, all in terms of their association and intimate relation with the Supreme Lord. The meat eaters are generally called Malechas, but all meat eaters are not Malechas. Those who accept meat in terms of scriptural injunctions are not Malechas, but those who accept meat without restriction are called Malechas. Beef is forbidden in the scriptures, and the bulls and cows are offered special protection by followers of the Vedas. But in this age of Kali, people will exploit the body of the bull and the cow as they like, and thus they will invite sufferings of various types. The people of this age will not perform any sacrifice. The Melecha population will care very little for performances of sacrifices, although performance of sacrifice is essential for persons who are materially engaged in sense enjoyment. In the Bhagavad Gita, performance of sacrifices is strongly recommended. Bhagavad Gita 3.14 to 16. The living beings are created by the creator Brahma, and just to maintain the created living being progressively towards the path back to Godhead, the system of performing sacrifice is also created by him. The system is that living beings live on the produce of grains and vegetables, and by eating such foodstuff, they get vital power of the body in the shape of blood and semen. And from blood and semen, one living being is able to create other living beings. But the production of grains and grass, etc., becomes possible by rain. And this rain is made to shower properly by performance of recommended sacrifices. Such sacrifices are directed by the rites of the Vedas, namely Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva. In the Manusmriti, it is recommended that by offerings of sacrifice on the altar of the fire, the sun god is pleased. When the sun god is pleased, he properly collects water from the sea, and thus sufficient clouds collect on the horizon and rains fall. After sufficient rains fall, there is sufficient production of grains for men and all animals, and thus there is energy in the living beings for progressive activity. The Malechas, however, make plans to install slaughterhouses for killing bulls and cows along with other animals, thinking that they will prosper by increasing the number of factories and live on animal food without caring for performance of sacrifices and production of grains. But they must know that even for the animals, they must produce grass and vegetables. Otherwise, the animals cannot live. And to produce grass for the animals, they require sufficient rains. Therefore, they have to depend ultimately on the mercy of the demigods like the sun god, Indra, and Chandra, and such demigods must be satisfied by performances of sacrifice. This material world is a sort of prison house, as we have several times mentioned. The demigods are the servants of the Lord who see to the proper upkeep of the prison house. These demigods want to see that the rebel living beings who want to survive faithlessly are gradually turned towards the supreme power of the Lord. Therefore, the system of offering sacrifice is recommended in the scriptures. The materialistic men want to work hard and enjoy fruitive results for sense enjoyment. Thus, they are committing many types of sins at every step of life. Those, however, who are consciously engaged in the devotional service of the Lord are transcendental to all varieties of sin and virtue. Their activities are free from the contamination of the three modes of material nature. For the devotees, there is no need for performance of prescribed sacrifices because the very life of the devotee is a symbol of sacrifice. But persons who are engaged in fruitive activities for sense enjoyment must perform the prescribed sacrifices because that is the only means to get free from the reaction of all sins committed by fruitive workers. Sacrifice is the means for counteracting such accumulated sins. The demigods are pleased when such sacrifices are performed, just as prison officers are satisfied when the prisoners are turned into obedient subjects. Lord Chaitanya, however, has recommended only one yajna or sacrifice called the Sankirtana Yajna, the chanting of Hare Krishna, in which everyone can take part. Thus both devotees and fruitive workers can derive equal benefit from the performances of Sankirtana Yajna.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Next. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 21. Arkshayamana striya urvibalan
Rakshyamanastriyorvibalan
chochasi ato purushadhairivartan
Sochasi atho Purushadair Ivartan
Vacham devim brahma kule kukharmani
Vacham Devim Brahma Kule Gurkarmani
abrahmanye rajakule kulaghriyam.
Abramanye Raja Kule Kulagrahan.
Synonyms. Arkshayamana, unprotected.
Arakshayamana unprotected.
Striya, women.
Striya women.
Urvi, on the earth.
Urvi on the earth.
Balan, children.
Palan children.
Chochasi, you are feeling compassion.
Sochasi you are feeling compassion.
Atho, as such.
Atho as such.
Purusha adhaihi, by cannibals, rakshasas.
Purusha Adahi.
Iva, like that.
You are like that.
Arthan, those who are unhappy.
Arthan, those who are unhappy.
Vacham, vocabulary.
Vacham, vocabulary.
Devi, the goddess.
Devim, the goddess.
Brahmakule, in the family of the Brahmana.
Brahmakule, in the family of the Brahmana.
Kukarmani acts against the principles of religion.
Kukarmani acts against the principles of religion.
Habramanye, persons against the Brahmanical culture.
Abramanye, persons against the Brahmanical culture.
Rajakule, in the administrative family.
Rajakule, in the administrative family.
Kula Agrayan, most of all the families, the Brahmanas.
Kula Yeah,
Most
most
of
of the
all families,
families,
the
the
Brahmanas.
Brahmanas.
Translation, please repeat after me. Are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children
Are
Are you
you
feeling
Are you
feeling
feeling
compunction for
compunction
the
for
women
unhappy
unhappy
women and
women
children
and children
who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons?
who are
who are
left
left
forlorn by
forlorn
unscrupulous
by
persons?
unscrupulous persons?
Or are you unhappy because the gods of learning is being handled by Brahmanas?
or are
Or
Or
you
are
are
you
you
because
unhappy
the
unhappy
because
goddess
the
because
goddess of
the
learning
goddess of
is
learning is
being
being
handled
handled
by
by
Brahmanas,
Brahmanas,
Addicted to acts against the principles of religion?
addicted to
addicted to acts against the principles of
against the
religion?
principles of religion?
Or are you sorry to see that the Brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahmanical culture?
or
Or are
are
you
Or
you
are
sorry
you
to
that
see
the
sorry
that
to
the
see
Brahmanas
that
Brahmanas have taken
the
shelter
also
of
Brahmanas have taken
administrative
shelter of
do
families
administrative
not
that do
families
not respect
that do
Brahmanical
not
culture?
respect to Brahmanical culture?
Purport.
purport? In the age of Kali, the women and the children, along with Brahmanas and cows, will be grossly neglected and left unprotected. In this age, illicit connection with women will render many women and children uncared for. Circumstantially, the women will try to become independent of the protection of men, and marriage will be performed as a matter of formal agreement between man and woman. In most cases, children will not be taken care of properly. The Brahmanas are traditionally intelligent men, and thus they will be able to pick up modern education to the topmost rank. But as far as moral and religious principles are concerned, they shall be the most fallen. Education and bad character go ill together, but such things will run parallel. The administrative heads as a class will condemn the tenets of Vedic wisdom and will prefer to conduct a so-called secular state, and the so-called educated Brahmanas will be purchased by such unscrupulous administrators. Even a philosopher and writer of many books on religious principles may also accept an exalted post in a government which denies all the moral codes of the Shastras. The Brahmanas are specifically restricted from accepting such service. But in this age, they will not only accept service, but they will do so even if it is of the meanest quality. These are some of the symptoms of the Kali age which are harmful to the general welfare of human society.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 22. Kim Kshatra Bandhun Kalinopashrushthan
Kim Shatrabantum
Kim Shatra
Kalino
Bandhun Kalino Parstan
Rashtrani Vathir Avaropitani
Rashtra
Rashtra
Nivatai
Nivatair
Avaropitani.
Avaropitani
Itastato Vashanapanavasa
Itastato
Tato
Vasana
Vasana Bhanavasa
Panavasa
Snana Vyavayon Jivalokam.
Jnana
Sana Vyava
Mukha Jiva Lokam.
Mukajiva Lokam
Synonyms: Kim, weather.
Kim Vedad
Team Weather.
Kshatra Bandhun, the one worthy administrators.
Kshatra Bandhun,
Kshetra
the unworthy
Bandhu.
administrators.
The unworthy administrators.
Kalina. Excuse me. By the influence of the age of Kali.
Kalina, by the influence of the
Karina.
age of
By
Kali.
the influence of the age of Kali.
Upasrushtan, bewildered.
Upashishtam, bewildered.
Upasrishtan. Bewildered.
Rashtrani, state affairs.
Rashtrani, state affairs.
Rashtrani state affairs.
Va, or.
Va, odd.
Thaihi, by them.
Say by them.
Avaropitani, put into
By
disorder.
them.
Avaropitani put
Avaropitani, put into disorder.
Avaropitani into disorder.
Itha, here.
Ita here.
Tatha, there.
Tatha there.
Va, or.
Va, odd.
Asana, accepting foodstuff.
Asana, accepting foodstuff.
Good stuff.
Pana, drink.
Pana
Pana
drink.
drink.
Vasha residence,
Vasa residence.
Residence.
Snana bath,
Snana
Snana.
bath.
Bath.
Yavaya sexual intercourse,
Vyavaya, sexual intercourse.
Process.
Unmukha inclined,
Unmukha inclined.
Inclined.
Jiva lokam human society.
Jivalokam human society.
Human society.
Translation, please repeat after me. The so-called administrators are now bewildered
The
The
so-called
so-called administrators are now bewildered
by the influence of this age of Kali,
by the
By the
influence of
age
this
of
age of
Kali.
Kali,
and thus they have put all state affairs into disorder.
and thus they have put all state affairs into disorder.
Are you now lamenting this disorder?
Are you now lamenting this disorder?
Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations
Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations
for eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, etc.
for eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, etc.
And they are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere.
And they are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere.
Are you unhappy because of this?
Are you unhappy because of this?
Purport. There are some necessities of life on a par with those of the lower animals, and they are eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. These bodily demands are for both the human beings and the animals. But the human being has to fulfill such desires not like animals, but like a human being. A dog can mate with a bitch before the public eyes without hesitation. But if a human being does so, the act will be considered a public nuisance, and the person will be criminally prosecuted. Therefore, for the human being, there are some rules and regulations, even for fulfilling common demands. The human society avoids such rules and regulations when it is bewildered by the influence of the age of Kali. In this age, people are indulging in such necessities of life without following the rules and regulations. And this deterioration of social and moral rules is certainly lamentable because of the harmful effects of such beastly behavior. In this age, the fathers and guardians are not happy with the behavior of their wards. They should know that so many innocent children are victims of bad association awarded by the influence of this age of Kali. We know from Srimad Bhagavatam that Ajamila, an innocent son of a Brahmana, was walking down a road and saw a Shudra pair sexually embracing. This attracted the boy, and later on the boy became a victim of all debaucheries. From a pure Brahmana, he fell down to the position of a wretched urchin, and it was all due to bad association. There was but one victim like Ajamila in those days. But in this age of Kali, the poor innocent students are daily victims of cinemas which attract men only for sex indulgence. The so-called administrators are all untrained in the affairs of a Kshatriya. The Kshatriyas are meant for administration, as the Brahmanas are meant for knowledge and guidance. The word Kshatra Bandhu refers to the so-called administrators or persons promoted to the post of the administrator without proper training by culture and tradition. Nowadays, they are promoted to such exalted posts by the votes of the people who are themselves fallen in the rules and regulations of life. How can such people select a proper man when they are themselves fallen in the standard of life? Therefore, by the influence of the age of Kali, everywhere, politically, socially, or religiously, everything is topsy-turvy. And therefore, for the sane man, it's all regrettable. Hari Om Tat Sat. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 23. Yadvam Bate Bhuri Bharavatara.
Yatvambate bhuri bharavatara.
Krutavatarasya Hare Daritri.
Kritaavatarasya hare dharitri.
Antarhitasya Smarati Visrushta.
Antarhitasya smarati vishrista.
Karmani nirvana vilambitani.
Karmani nirvana vilambitani.
Synonyms. Yadva, that may be.
Yadva,
Yadva,
that
that
may
may be.
Amba, O mother.
Amba, O
Amba,
mother.
mother.
Te, your.
Te,
They,
your.
your.
Bhuri, heavy.
Bhuri,
Bhuri,
heavy.
Hara, load.
Bhara,
Bhara,
load.
load.
Avatara, decreasing the load.
Avatara,
decreasing the
decreasing the
load.
load.
Krita, done.
Krita,
Krita,
done.
done.
Avatarasya, one who incarnated.
Avatarasya, one who
Avatarasya,
incarnated.
Hari, of Lord Sri Krishna.
Hari
of
of
Lord
Lord Sri
Krishna.
Krishna.
Daritri, O earth.
Daritri, O
Daritri,
earth.
O earth.
Antarhitasya, of him who is now out of sight.
Antarhitasya,
Antarhitasya,
of
of him
him
now,
who is now
of
out of
him who
sight.
is now out of sight.
Smarati, while thinking of.
Smrati, while
Smrati,
thinking
while
of.
thinking of.
Visrushta, all that were performed.
Vishrishta,
Vishrishta,
all
all
that
that
were
were performed.
Karmani, activities.
Karmani,
Karmani,
activities.
activities.
Nirvana, salvation.
Nirvana,
Nirvana,
salvation.
salvation.
Vilambithani, that which entails.
Vilambitani,
Vilambitani,
that
that
which
which
entails.
entails.
Translation, please repeat after me. O Mother Earth,
O
O
Mother
Mother
Earth,
Earth,
the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari,
the Supreme
the Supreme
Personality of
Personality of
Godhead,
Godhead, Hari,
incarnated himself as Lord Sri Krishna,
incarnated himself as Lord Sri
incarnated as Lord
Krishna,
Shri Krishna,
just to unload your heavy burden.
just to
just to
unload your
unload
heavy burden.
All his activities here are transcendental,
All his activities
here
here
are
are
transcendental,
transcendental,
and they cement the path of liberation.
and they
and they
cement the
cement the
path of
path of
liberation.
liberation.
You are now bereft of his presence.
You are now bereft of his presence.
You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence.
You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling
those
sorry in
activities
their
and feeling
absence.
sorry in their absence.
Purport.
The activities of the Lord include liberation, but they are more realizable than the pressure derived from nirvana or liberation, according to Srila Jiva Goswami and scroll up. And Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, the word used here is nirvana vilambitani, that which minimizes the value of liberation. To attain nirvana liberation, one has to undergo a severe type of tapasya, austerity, but the Lord is so merciful that he incarnates to diminish the burden of the earth. Simply by remembering such activities, one can defeat the pressure derived from nirvana and reach the transcendental abode of the Lord to associate with him eternally, engaged in his blissful loving service.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 24. Idam mama chakshvatavadi moolam.
Idam
Idam
mama
mama
chakshvatavadi
chakshvatavadi
moolam.
moolam.
Vasundareyena vikarshitasi.
Vasundareyena
Vikarshitashi.
vikarshitasi.
Kalene vate balinam baliyasa.
Kalena vate
Balinam
balina
baliyasha.
baliyasa.
Surachitam kim hritamam basaubagam.
Surachitam
Surachitam kim hitam amba saubhagam.
Shobhagam.
Synonyms. Idam, this.
Idam this.
Mama, unto me.
Mama unto me.
Achakshva, kindly inform.
Achakshva,
kindly inform.
Tava, your.
Tava,
Tava
your.
your.
Adimulam, the root cause of your tribulations.
Adimulam, the root cause of your
of
tribulations.
Vasundare, O reservoir of all riches.
Vasundare, O reservoir of all riches.
Ena, by which.
By which.
Vikarshitha asi, reduced to much weakness.
Vikarshita
Vikarshita
Asi.
Vikarshita Asi
reduced
reduced
to
to
much
much weakness.
weakness.
Halena, by the influence of time.
Kalena by the
Kalena
influence of time.
Kalena by the influence of
Va,
time.
va, or.
Va
Or
Te, your.
Te
Te
your.
your
Balinam, very powerful.
Balinam
Balinam
very
powerful.
powerful.
Baliyasa, more powerful.
Baliyasa more
Baliyasa more
powerful.
powerful.
Sura Architam, adored by the demigods.
Sura Architam adored by the
Adored by
demigods.
the demigods.
Kim, weathered.
Kim Weather,
Kim Vedar.
Kritam, taken away.
Kritam taken away.
Amba, mother.
Amba Mother,
Saubhagam, fortune.
Saubhagam
Fortune.
fortune.
Translation, please repeat after me. Mother,
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 you are the reservoir of all riches.
you
the
are the
reservoir
reservoir of all
riches.
riches.
Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations,
Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations,
by which you have been reduced to such a weak state.
by which
by
you have
which you have been reduced to such a weak state.
I think that the powerful influence of time,
I think that the powerful influence of time,
which conquers the most powerful,
which conquers the most powerful,
might have forcibly taken away all your fortune,
might have forcibly taken away all your fortune,
which was adored even by demigods.
which was adored
even by
the
demigods.
demigods.
Purport.
Purport. By the grace of the Lord, each and every planet is created fully equipped. So, not only in this earth, fully equipped with all the riches for the maintenance of its inhabitants, but also when the Lord descends on the earth, the whole earth becomes so enriched with all kinds of opulences that even the denizens of heaven worship it with all affection. But by the will of the Lord, the whole earth can at once be changed. He can do and undo a thing by his sweet will. Therefore, no one should consider himself to be self-sufficient or independent of the Lord.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 25. Dharani Uvacha.
Dharani Uvacha.
Bhavan hi Veda Tat Sarvam.
Bhavan Veda Tatsarvam.
Yanmam Dharmanu Pruchasi.
Yanmam Dharman Upachasi.
Chaturbir Vartase Yena.
Chaturbhir Vartase Yena.
Padher Loka Sukha Vahai.
Loka Sukha.
Synonyms. Dharani Uvacha, Mother Earth replied.
Dharani Uvacha, Mother Earth replied.
Bhavan, your good self.
Bhavan, your good self.
He certainly.
He certainly.
He certainly.
Veda knew.
Veda.
Tat Sarvam, all that you have inquired from me.
Tat Sarvam, all that you have inquired from me.
Yet that.
Yet that.
Mom, from.
Yeah,
From me.
Mom, from me.
Dharma, O personality of religious principles.
Dharma, O personality of religious principles.
Anupruchasi, you have inquired one after another.
Anuprachasi, you have inquired one after another.
Chaturbhi, by four.
Chaturbhi, by four.
Vartase, you exist.
Vartase, you exist.
Yena, by which.
Yena, by which.
Padaihi, by the legs.
Padaihi, by the legs.
Loka, in each and every planet.
Loka, in each and every planet.
Sukha avahaihi, increasing the happiness.
Sukha
avahi, increasing the happiness.
Translation, please repeat after me. The earthly deity in the form of a cow thus replied to the personality of religious principles in the form of a bull.
The earthly deity in the form of a cow thus replied to the personality of religious principles in the form of a bull.
O Dharma,
O Dharma,
whatever you have inquired from me,
whatever you have inquired from me,
shall be known to you.
Shall be known to you.
I shall try to reply to all those questions.
I shall try to reply to all those questions.
Once you two were maintained by your four legs,
Once you two were maintained by your four legs,
and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord.
and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord.
But
Purport. The principles of religions are laid down by the Lord himself, and the executor of such laws is Dharmaraja or Yamaraja. Such principles work fully in the age of Satyuga. In the Treta Yuga, they are reduced by a fraction of 1/4. In the Dwapara Yuga, they are reduced to 1/2. And in Kali Yuga, they are reduced to 1/4, gradually diminishing to the 0 point, and then devastation takes place. Happiness in the world depends proportionately on the maintenance of the religious principles, individually or collectively. The best part of valor is to maintain the principles despite all kinds of odds. Thus, one can be happy during the span of life and ultimately return to Godhead.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 26 to 30. Satyam Saucham Daya Kshantis
Satyam
Satyam Saucham
Daya
Daya Shantis
Tyaga Santosha Arjavam
Tyaga
Tyaga
Santosha
Santosha
Arjavam
Arjavam
Shamadamastapas Samyam
Samudamastapa
Damas Tapasamyam
Dikshoparati Pratisrutam
Tiksho
Tiksho Parati Shrutam
Jnanam Viraktiraiśwaryam
Jnanam Viraktir Aishwaryam
Sauryam Tejo Balam Smriti
Shauryam Tejo Balam Smriti
Swatantriyam Kaushalam Kantir
Swatantriyam Kaushalam Kantir
Dhairyam Mardhavamivacha
Dhairyam Madhavam Evacha
Pragalbyam Prashrayashilam
Praghalbhyam Prashraya Stilam
Saha Ojo Balam Baga
Saha Ojo Balam Baga
Gambhiryam Stairyam Astikyam
Gambhiryam Stairyam Astikyam
Kirtirmano Anahankriti
Kirtimano Ahankriti
Ete Chanye Cha Bhagavan
Ete Chane Cha Bhagavan
Nityayatra Mahaguna
Nityayatra Mahaguna
Prarthya Mahatavam Ichadvir
Pratya Atvam Ichat Bhir
Naviyanti Smakarhichet
Naviyanti Smak Karchit
Tenaham Gunapatrena
Tenaham Gunapatrena
Srinivasena Sampratam
Srinivasena Sampratam
Chochami Rahitam Lokam
Sochami Rahitam Lokam
Papmana Kalinekshitam.
Papmana Kalinekshitam
Synonyms. Satyam, truthfulness.
Satyam
Satyam Truthfulness
Shaucham, cleanliness.
Saucham Cleanliness
Daya, intolerance of others' unhappiness.
Daya Intolerance of others unhappiness
Shanti, self-control even if there is cause of anger.
Shanti
Shanti
even if there is cause of anger.
Tyaga, magnanimity.
Yaga Magnanimity
Santosha, self-satisfaction.
Santosha
Santosha Self-satisfaction
Arjavam, straightforwardness.
Arjavam Straightforwardness
Tama, Shama, fixing of the mind.
Sama, fixing of the
of the mind.
The mind.
Hama, control of the sense organs.
Sama,
Sama,
control of the
Dhamma,
sense organ.
control of the sense organs.
Thapa, trueness to one's responsibility.
Tapa,
Tapa,
trueness to
Tapa,
one's responsibility.
trueness to one's responsibility.
Samyam, indiscrimination between friend and foe.
Samyam, indiscrimination between
Samyam,
friend and foe.
discrimination between friend and
Titiksha, tolerance of the offenses of others.
Diksha, tolerance of the offenses of others.
tolerance of others.
Uparathi, indifference to loss and gain.
Uparatihi, indifference to loss and gain.
To loss and gain.
Shrutam, following scriptural injunctions.
Shrutam,
Following scriptural injunctions.
Injection.
Jnanam, knowledge, self-realization.
Jnana, knowledge, self-realization.
Virakti, detachment from sense enjoyment.
Virakti,
Detachment from sense enjoyment.
For sense enjoyment.
Aishwaryam, leadership.
Aishwarya, leadership.
Shauryam, chivalry.
Sauryam, Shiva,
Charlie.
Teja, influence.
Teja, influence.
Balam, to render possible that which is impossible.
Alarm, to render possible that which is impossible.
Smriti, to find one's proper duty.
Smriti, to find one's proper duty.
Swatantriyam, not to depend on others.
Swatantratyam, not to depend on others.
Kaushalam, dexterity in all activities.
Kaushalam, dexterity in all activities.
Kanti, beauty.
Kanti, beauty.
Dhairyam, freedom from disturbance.
Dhairyam, freedom from disturbance.
Mardhavam, kind-heartedness.
Madhavam, kind-heartedness.
Eva, thus.
Eva,
Eva
thus.
does.
Cha, also.
Cha, also.
Pragalbhyam, ingenuity.
Pragalbhyam,
Ingenuity.
Prasraya, gentility.
Prashaya, gentility.
Sheelam, mannerliness.
Shilam, mannerliness.
Saha, determination.
Saha, determination.
Ojha, perfect knowledge.
Oja, perfect knowledge.
Bhalam, proper execution.
Palam, proper execution.
Bhaga, object of enjoyment.
Bhaga, object of enjoyment.
Gambhiryam, joyfulness.
Gambhiryam, joyfulness.
Stairyam, immovability.
Steryam, immovability.
Astikyam, faithfulness.
Astikyam, faithfulness.
Kirti, fame.
Kirti, fame.
Mana, worthy of being worshipped.
Mana, worthy of being worshipped.
Anahankriti, pridelessness.
Anahankriti, pridelessness.
Ete, all these.
Ete, all this.
Cha, anye, also many others.
Cha, anye, also many others.
Cha, and
Cha, and
Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead.
Bhagwan, the personality of Godhead.
Nitya, everlasting.
Nitya, everlasting.
Yatra, where.
Yatra, where.
Mahaguna, great qualities.
Mahaguna, great qualities.
Prartya, worthy of possess, worthy to possess.
Prarthya, worthy to possess.
Mahatvam, greatness.
Mahatvam, greatness.
Ichad, be, those who desire so.
It shall be those who desire so.
No, never.
No, never.
Viyanti, deteriorates.
Vayanti, deteriorates.
Sma, ever.
Sma, ever.
Karhichit, at any time.
Karhichit, at any time.
Tena, by him.
Tena, by him.
Aham, myself.
Aham, myself.
Gunapatrena, the reservoir of all qualities.
Gunapatrena, the reservoir of all qualities.
Shri, the goddess of fortune.
Sri, the goddess of fortune.
Nivasena, by the resting place.
Nivasena by the resting place.
Sampratham very recently.
Sampragatam very disciplined. Very
Sochami.
recently.
Sochami, I am thinking of.
Sochami, I'm thinking of.
Rahitam, bereft of.
Rahitam, bereft of.
Lokam, planets.
Lokam, planets.
Papmana, by the store of all sins.
Papmana by the store of all.
Kalina, by Kali.
Kalina by Kali.
Ikshitam is seen.
Ikshitam is seen.
Translation, please repeat after me. In him reside truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's unhappiness.
In him reside truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's unhappiness.
4. The power to control anger.
4. The power to control anger.
5. Self-satisfaction.
5. Self-satisfaction.
6. Straightforwardness.
6. Straightforwardness.
7. Steadiness of mind.
7. Steadiness of mind.
8. Control of the sense organs.
8. Control of the sense organs.
9. Responsibility.
9. Responsibility.
10. Equality.
10. Equality.
11. Tolerance.
11. Tolerance.
12. Equanimity.
12. Equanimity.
13. Faithfulness.
13. Faithfulness.
14. Knowledge.
14. Knowledge.
15. Absence of sense enjoyment.
15. Absence of sense enjoyment.
16. Leadership.
16. Leadership.
17. Chivalry.
17. Chivalry.
18. Influence.
18. Influence.
19. The power to make everything possible.
19. The power to make everything possible.
20. The discharge of proper duty.
20. The discharge of proper duty.
21. Complete independence.
21. Complete independence.
22. Dexterity.
22. Dexterity.
23. Fullness of all beauty.
23. Fullness of all beauty.
24. Serenity.
24. Serenity.
25. Kind-heartedness.
25. Kind-heartedness.
26. Ingenuity.
26. Ingenuity.
27. Gentility.
27. Gentility.
28. Magnanimity.
28. Magnanimity.
29. Determination.
29. Determination.
30. Perfection in all knowledge.
30. Perfection in all knowledge.
31. Proper execution.
31. Proper execution.
32. Possession of all objects of enjoyment.
32. Possession of all objects of enjoyment.
33. Joyfulness.
33. Joyfulness.
34. Immovability.
34. Immovability.
35. Fidelity.
35. Fidelity.
36. Fame.
36. Fame.
37. Worship.
37. Worship.
38. Pridelessness.
38. Pridelessness.
39. Being as the personality of Godhead.
39. Being as the personality of Godhead.
40. Eternity.
40. Eternity.
And many other transcendental qualities
And many other transcendental qualities
which are eternally present and never to be separated from Him.
which are eternally present and never to be separated from Him.
That personality of Godhead,
That personality of Godhead,
the reservoir of all goodness and beauty,
the reservoir of all goodness and beauty,
Lord Sri Krishna,
Lord Sri Krishna,
has now closed His transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth.
has now closed His transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth.
In His absence,
In His absence,
the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere.
the age of God has spread its influence everywhere.
So I'm sorry to see this condition of existence.
So I'm sorry to see this condition of existence.
Purport. Even if it were possible to count the atoms after smashing the earth into powder, still it would not be possible to estimate the unfathomable transcendental qualities of the Lord. Haribol. It is said that Lord Anantadeva has tried to expound the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord with his numberless tongues, and that for numberless years together, it has been impossible to estimate the qualities of the Lord. The above statement of the qualities of the Lord is just to estimate his qualities as far as a human being is able to see him. But even if it is so, the above qualities can be divided into many subheadings. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the third quality, intolerance of another's unhappiness, can be subdivided into number 1, protection of the surrendered souls, and 2, well-wishes for the devotees. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord states that he wants every soul to surrender unto him only. And he assures everyone that if one does so, he will give protection from the reactions of all sins. Unsurrendered souls are not devotees of the Lord, and thus there is no particular protection for everyone in general. For the devotees, he has all good wishes. And for those who are actually engaged in loving transcendental service of the Lord, he gives particular attention. He gives direction to such pure devotees to help them discharge their responsibilities on the path back to Godhead by equality. The Lord is equally kind to everyone, as the sun is equal in distributing its rays over everyone. Yet there are many who are unable to take advantage of the sun's rays. Similarly, the Lord says that surrendering unto him is the guarantee for all protection from him, but unfortunate persons are unable to accept this proposition, and therefore they suffer from all material miseries. So, even though the Lord is equally well-wishing to everyone, the unfortunate living being, due to bad association only, is unable to accept his instructions in toto, and for this the Lord is never to be blamed. He is called the well-wisher for the devotees only. He appears to be partial to his devotees, but factually the matter rests on the living being to accept or reject equal treatment by the Lord. The Lord never deviates from his word of honor. When he gives assurance for protection, the promise is executed in all circumstances. It is the duty of the pure devotee to be fixed in the discharge of the duty entrusted to him by the Lord, or the Lord's bona fide representative, the spiritual master. The rest is carried on by the Lord without a break. The responsibility of the Lord is also unique. The Lord has no responsibility because all his work is done by his different appointed energies, but still he accepts voluntary responsibilities in displaying different roles in his transcendental pastimes. As a boy, he was playing the part of a cowboy. As the son of Nanda Maharaja, he discharged responsibility perfectly. Similarly, when he was playing the part of a Kshatriya, as the son of Maharaja Vasudeva, he displayed all the skills of a martially spirited Kshatriya. In almost all cases, the Kshatriya king has to secure a wife by fighting or kidnapping. This sort of behavior for a Kshatriya is praiseworthy in the sense that a Kshatriya must show his power of chivalry to his would-be wife so that the daughter of a Kshatriya can see the valor of her would-be husband. Even the personality of Lord Sri Rama displayed such a spirit of chivalry during his marriage. He broke the strongest bow called Haradhanur and achieved the hand of Sita Devi, the mother of all opulence. The Kshatriya spirit is displayed during marriage festivals, and there is nothing wrong in such fighting. Lord Sri Krishna discharged such responsibility fully because although he had more than 16,000 wives, in each and every case he fought like a chivalrous Kshatriya and thus secured a wife. To fight 16,000 times to secure 16,000 wives is certainly possible only for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, he displayed full responsibility in every action of his different transcendental pastimes. The 14th quality, knowledge, can be further extended into 5 subheadings, namely intelligence, gratefulness, power of understanding the circumstantial environments of place, object, and time, perfect knowledge of everything, and knowledge of the self. Only fools are ungrateful to their benefactors. The Lord, however, does not require benefit from anyone besides himself because he is full in himself. Still, he feels benefited by the unalloyed services of his devotees. The Lord feels grateful to his devotees for such unsophisticated, unconditional service and tries to reciprocate it by rendering service, although the devotee also has no such desire in his heart. The transcendental service of the Lord is itself transcendental benefit for the devotee, and therefore the devotee has nothing to expect from the Lord. On the assertion of the Vedic aphorism, Sarvam Khalvidham Brahma, we can understand that the Lord, by the omnipresent rays of his effulgence, called Brahma Jyoti, is all pervading inside or outside of everything, like the omnipresent material sky, and thus he is also omniscient. As far as the beauty of the Lord is concerned, he has some special features that distinguish him from all other living beings. And over and above that, he has some special attractive, beautiful features by which he attracts the mind of even Radharani, the super most beautiful creation of the Lord. He is known, therefore, as Madana Mohana, or one who attracts the mind of even the Cupid. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu has scrutinizingly analyzed other transcendental qualities of the Lord and affirms that Lord Sri Krishna is the absolute supreme personality of Godhead, Parabrahman. He is omnipotent by his inconceivable energies, and therefore he is the Yogeshwara, or the supreme master of all mystic powers. Being the Yogeshwara, his eternal form is spiritual, a combination of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. The non-devotee class cannot understand the dynamic nature of his knowledge because they are satisfied to reach up to his eternal form of knowledge. All great souls aspire to be equal in knowledge with him. This means that all other knowledge is ever insufficient, flexible, and measurable, whereas the knowledge of the Lord is ever fixed and unfathomable. Srila Sutta Goswami affirms in the Bhagavatam that although he was observed by the citizens of Dwaraka every day, they were ever increasingly anxious to see him again and again. The living beings can appreciate the qualities of the Lord as the ultimate goal, but they cannot attain the status quo of such equality. This material world is a product of the Mahat Tattva, which is a state of the Lord's dreaming condition in his Yoga Nidra, mystic slumber in the causal ocean, and yet the whole creation appears to be a factual presentation of his creation. This means that the Lord's dreaming conditions are also factual manifestations. He can therefore bring everything under his transcendental control, and thus whenever and wherever he does appear, he does so in his fullness. The Lord, being all that is described above, maintains the affairs of the creation, and by his so doing, he gives salvation even to his enemies who are killed by him. He is attractive even to the topmost liberated soul, and thus he is worshipable even by Brahma and Shiva, the greatest of all demigods. Even in his incarnation of Purusha Avatara, he is the Lord of the creative energy. The creative material energy is working under his direction, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. He is the control switch of the material energy. And to control the material energy in the innumerable universes, he is the root cause of innumerable incarnations in all the universes. There are more than 500,000 incarnations of Manu in only one universe, besides other incarnations in different universes. In the spiritual world, however, beyond the Mahat Tattva, there is no question of incarnations, but there are plenary expansions of the Lord in different Vaikunthas. The planet in the spiritual sky are at least 3 times the number of those within the innumerable universes in the Mahat Tattva. And all the Narayana forms of the Lord are but expansions of his Vasudeva feature, and thus he is Vasudeva, Narayana, and Krishna simultaneously. He is Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare, He Natha Narayana Vasudeva, all in one. His qualities therefore cannot be counted by anyone, however great one may be. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you very much. Anybody has any questions or comments or realizations, please do share with me. Otherwise, we'll wind up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Thank you very much. We'll resume back our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Till then, Grandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Patita Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Panchakalpatarubhyascha
eva cha
kripasindhubhaiva cha
patitanam
patitanam pavanebhyo
namo
vaishnavebhyo namo
namaha.
namaha.
Jai Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Gaur